So the Supreme Court in Brown versus Board of Education said, of course, racial segregation is unconstitutional. You can't do it. But you know what happened the year after they decided that? They decided that in 1954. And you know what happened in 1955? Nothing. Nothing, or next to nothing, happened. Nobody followed it. Then, a few did, but not many. And you know what happened in 1956? Again, nothing, or next to nothing. But in 1957, there was a judge, Judge Davies, and he was sitting in Little Rock, and he said, well, the law is that you cannot discriminate on the basis of race. And what they're doing here is they are discriminating on the basis of race. They won't let black children into the white school. So I will enter an order that says that the Supreme Court in Brown versus Board of Education meant what it said. You must let some black children in your white Central High School. And that set the stage for Little Rock.
I wasn't prepared for the intense opposition we did face. And I realized, even though they said nothing, that they were there to keep me out.
We heard this litany of things that we could and could not do, and it was more of what we could not do.
She was coming to school. This is what we were doing. We're coming to school. She got mobbed, bottom line.
It could be spittle in your seat, it could be glue in your seat, tacks in your seat.
Anything that you can think of that one human being might possibly do to another, they did to us.
Freedom. That's the word we like to think best describes our way of life here in the United States, and rightly so. But freedom hasn't come easy. Over the years, American citizens have often had to fight to secure and preserve the rights we hold so dear. Today, the United States represents a place of hope and opportunity for people of all ethnicities, religions, colors, cultures, and beliefs. But our freedom's most frequent enemy has often been ourselves. This is the story of just such a struggle, a battle not fought with rifle and bayonet, but merely in their shadow. It's the story of a battle fought with pen and paper, law and justice, and the resolute courage of a defiant few. The time and place, Little Rock, Arkansas, 1957. The unlikely battlefield, the floor of a federal courthouse, the streets of Little Rock, and the hallways of one of the city's public schools. This landmark struggle for freedom would be fought and won by a handful of unlikely warriors, a diminutive but stalwart U.S. District Court judge from North Dakota named Ronald Davies, and a few brave teenage students who would forever after be known as the Little Rock Nine. So with that in mind, let us now go back in time and follow these pioneers of freedom in their historic journey on the road to Little Rock. Well into the 20th century, in much of the U.S., African Americans were forced to use separate washrooms, separate lunch counters, separate water fountains.
There were actually theaters which allowed blacks to go to in the balcony, but the ones downtown, Maine was the city, we couldn't go to those.
And when individuals tried to cross those segregated lines, they encountered name-calling, bullying, and violence. In many areas of America, the white majority of people prevented the African American minority from mixing with whites in many public places.
It was like standing on the other side of a fence and looking in, because it seemed that there were so many things I couldn't do.
One crucial place where segregation still occurred was in public education. Equal access to public education became the primary civil rights issue addressed by Judge Davies in the federal court. The underfunded, substandard schools provided for black students in segregated communities were hardly equal to those offered to white children in the larger, well-funded public schools.